Well, hello there. Welcome back to another episode of the No BS Human Design Podcast. I'm doing another chart reading today, and it's definitely not like the ones I've recently done. This one is more reality TV. And I know before you get all like, oh, reality TV, I don't watch a lot of reality TV with the exception of Love is Blind and Married at First Sight. Okay. Yes, I will binge those shows. And recently, I caught up on season 15 of Married at First Sight. Was it season 15? I'm pretty sure it was, which happened like 2 years ago, but whatever. And there was this one woman on there who stood out to me. I was like, this chick is a bad bitch. Like, she knows what she wants, she stands up for herself, and she doesn't do it in a way that's like harmful or speaking in a way that's condescending. I just really loved her energy. So I watched the whole season and I was like, oh, this chick is great from start to finish. I loved it. And then I had this sense of, because naturally, this literally, you guys, when I teach human design, it's not just because like I want to make a living doing it. I'm obsessed. Like when I meet someone, I'm like, what is their design? What's in their chart that's like showing this way? Like, right? So this is me every single day of my life. So naturally, I'm like, ooh, I wonder if I could find her date of birth. I really want to see what her chart shows. So I reached out to her on Instagram. Her name is Krysten Collins. And I reached out to her on Instagram, not even thinking she would ever see it. Probably goes to spam, right? And she got back to me. She gave me her date of birth, her time of birth, and all of that. And this is her birthday week. So happy birthday, Krysten. I don't know what you feel about things like human design and or astrology, but this is for fun. And if you've seen Married at First Sight this season, and if you're familiar with Krysten, this will definitely help you put a lot of the puzzle pieces together. And if you haven't, but you have your chart nearby, this is just like listening in to any other chart reading. So take advantage of it and take notes on anything that I talk about that also relates to your chart. Welcome to the No BS Human Design Podcast. I'm Adriana Keefe, human design coach and motivational speaker. I went through my quarter life crisis in my 20s and had to learn how to navigate through finding what I was meant to be doing with my life. I refused to believe in the culture that said we were all meant to have the same path and boring careers until we retire and die. And along my journey, I found human design, a system that reveals your energetic blueprint, showing you where and how to access your body's consciousness and how to live as your true self. Human design changed my life, so I started sharing it with others and changing their lives, but we were all finding the same problem: a lack of resources that explain the system in easy and useful ways. So I created this show where we dive deep into the lessons of the human design system without the BS and the noise you find on the internet. Listen in for lessons in human design, finding your purpose, manifestation and spiritual practices, human design within business, and so much more. We connect with other experts in the human design and spiritual realm in a refreshingly honest way to help you find your way along your spiritual path and live this life with intention. It's time to let go of the societal expectations of being and let yourself find abundance through being uniquely you. Let's get started. Okay, now let's dive in. So, Krysten Collins is a Virgo, and she's actually the same age as me. She was born in 1989, so now she is turning 35. This is, if you're watching on YouTube, I have her chart up right on the YouTubes, and it makes sense why her energy resonated so much with me. She's also a manifesting generator, like myself, which means she's someone who has a lot of energy and is very multi-passionate, multi-hyphenate, lives a non-linear life, not someone who's designed to obsess about the same thing and just do that for work or for their life forever. We like to go from one thing to another. We like to be challenged, learn new things, and be non-linear. So naturally, I think I caught that energy from her and I resonated with it a lot. If you want more information on manifesting generator specifically, we'll link that in the show notes below. But for the sake of time, we'll just keep moving through her chart as we see it. The other things that stood out for me right away. So if you're looking at a chart, you will see type manifesting generator, and then something else, profile, and her profile is 6'2". I'm a 4'6" for reference, so I have a 6 line as well, which is probably another energy resonance for me. And this profile is like the archetype of your personality. This is what the original channeler of human design called the costume that your personality wears, or your energy wears as you move through your life. And the profile line number 6 is known as the role model. This is someone who naturally gives off leadership and role model vibes, which that leadership energy I definitely felt from her from like the first episode. And they tend to have innate wisdom. I have a theory that we're very, very old souls. For me specifically, it has been confirmed. My soul has dated back to like pre-Atlantis years, but I do have this is not a human design thing. This is my own theory, a theory that 6 lines are extremely old souls in general, because we are born into this world with so much more wisdom than the quote usual person. And they tend to, because of that, they tend to be more mature than their age, which I always received that feedback when I was growing up, even still now, actually. And I feel that about Krysten as well. I was like, oh, she's only my age when I actually looked into it, but I felt like she just had this maturity level that was it just surpassed the age that she was at the time of Married at First Sight. So that stood out to me immediately. Other pieces that jumped out immediately was her sacral center. So if you are a manifesting generator or a generator type, you have this little square that's second from the bottom on your chart. That's called your sacral center. And this is a motor that fuels you to do things that really excite you. This is why manifesting generators are energizer bunnies, because when we're excited about something, we are designed to be builders of it. Like working from 6 a.m. to midnight, like forgetting to pee, forgetting to eat. Actually, as I'm talking about this right now, I'm realizing it's past my usual lunchtime. I forgot to stop and eat lunch because I was so excited about diving into her chart. That's exactly it. That's what we're talking about. I don't even feel hunger right now. And this enthusiasm, this excitement, this fire in the belly, it's like that gut area. This is where the gut response comes from when people talk about trusting your gut. That excitement is there to power you through on the things that you're designed to build. And I'm not going to mention her partner's name from Married at First Sight. I think that, she's past it, they're past it, whatever. And we just don't need to throw shade by using names or whatever. So I'll just call him her partner. Her partner was dimming her enthusiasm about things, especially when it came to in the future, she really wanted to invest in real estate and flip homes. And immediately you see him just like shut down that light in her belly, that fire in her belly. That is one of the biggest no-nos for being a generator or manifesting generator. When your sacral fire, when your excitement is dimmed, it can, what's the word I'm looking for? Disperse. It can leak into the rest of your life. And you can overall become feeling like you're really dulled down, really dimmed down. And that dimming of enthusiasm is what keeps so many generator types and manifesting generators so frustrated in our society right now, because people are constantly afraid that other people are going to outgrow them. So they make them dim their lights. They tell them not to shine too bright, right? They can't get too excited about this. And you saw that light go out in her when watching the show. Now, I should have said this at the beginning. Keep in mind, we only see reality TV. We don't see all the behind the scenes, right? So I don't know what else happened. This is all based on everything I saw on TV. I had no conversation with Krysten outside of that, talking about their relationship. I don't need to. Like, this is just based on my excitement from seeing her chart. So that was a little caveat. All right. Other things that jumped out at me. She has an open head center. If you're familiar with the chakra system, it's like the crown. An open ajna, which is the little triangle under it. And these two things combined make someone a very open-minded person, in the sense of like, tell me your thoughts, tell me your opinions. I want to feel into all of them. I want to get inspired and motivated by what other people are thinking and their opinions, right? And I feel that you could see that from her within watching the show. Like, she was never someone who pushed her opinions on anyone else. She was like, well, tell me why you feel that way, or tell me why you think that way. and just a generally very open to conversation, open to other people's quote sides of the stories, no matter what the situation. And I don't have her partner's chart, but from the moment that I started watching the show, I should probably look that up just for fun. But from the moment I started watching the show, I was like, oh, I feel like this partner has like a defined ajna or something where he's really not accepting, in the shadow side, not everyone, he's really not accepting other people's thoughts and opinions. So I'm very curious to see at some point, if I can find it, if he has a defined head or ajna that perhaps is in the shadow of not allowing in other people's thoughts and opinions and dreams and everything that inspires them. And then also on her chart, you see her open heart center. I can relate with most of her openness. The head, the ajna, I have that as well, and especially the open heart. The heart center is all about self-worth and willpower and ego. Ego not being a bad thing. Ego just is, right? And throughout the season, you actually heard her talking about how she came into the season feeling so sure of herself, feeling so worthy, like she had a really seemingly solid self-worth foundation built up, which is the gift of having the open heart center. It's really a challenge isn't the right word, a learning curve for people with an open heart to learn their sense of self-worth. It's not as consistent as someone who had this quote defined. If you have a center that's defined, it's a very consistent energy, which we'll get to next. But if you have it open, there's no color in your center, like her heart center, you are ebbing and flowing based on the energy of who you're around. And she actually said in the season that she started wavering on her sense of self-worth because of what the relationship was doing to her. And thankfully, it seems that she has found that foundation again and come back to her consistent sense of self-worth. But it was really interesting to see that happen and see that progress over the season with that open heart center. And then her last open center is the solar plexus, which for me, I felt was another very obvious one watching the show because she has such an even-keeled energy. She does not have a very big emotional wave that, not to say that she doesn't have emotions. Everyone feels emotions. I hate when people in human design say non-emotional or emotional. But she has a much more even-keeled energy than someone like myself who has a defined solar plexus, and I have a lot of ups and a lot of downs. She doesn't have a consistent wave of emotions like that. It's not as much of a roller coaster as others on a consistent basis. So she did seem to, in every situation, handle things with a very I don't know, I suppose level, grounded, I guess, grounded maybe, emotional reaction. And at some points she would feel it heightened or lessened, based on who she was around in the situation, but she wasn't as reactive, which is something you tend to see with that open solar plexus. But the other side of having an open center is you are taking in the emotions of other people. So in those moments, she could feel the emotions of her partner and she felt it amplified within herself. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if she could feel when situations felt off with him a lot more often than not, because she was literally feeling his emotions. But for the most part, I mean, her partner got really lucky that he was placed with someone with an open solar plexus, because me, with my roller coaster of emotions and my defined solar plexus, I probably would have snapped a lot. I would have been a lot more of an emotional disaster throughout that entire thing, especially in, was it the second episode when he told her that he wasn't attracted to her? Like, she handled that like a fucking champ. Oh my God. My emotions would have gone so high, so low. And she just found what sense of consistency worked for her for handling that with emotions. So I thought that was really interesting. Now, moving into the definition, the centers that have color in it are all centers where she has energy she has a consistent way of being through these centers. So her throat center, very lit up. She's got 6 gates, 6 energetic traits in her throat. And this is what makes her a manifesting generator, because throat is about communication and manifestation and expression. And it's obvious to me that she had this defined because I felt she was very consistent in speaking up for herself. She was very consistent in the way that she spoke, very eloquent. She just knew what she wanted to speak about and what she didn't. And it was very consistent the entire time. Now, again, not to say that if you have an open throat center that you don't speak up for yourself or that you aren't eloquent. It's the consistency. And it's the way that she speaks for herself every single time. And also having the throat, which if you, again, are watching on YouTube, you can see the channel of energy that goes from the throat down to her G center, which is the center of sense of direction and self-love and inner knowing. This is known as that inner compass, that claircognizant, if you will. She literally has a connection from her inner knowing to her throat. And while watching the season, you will see that she's had a consistent sense of direction and a consistent inner knowing for what she sees for the future. And she will speak about it. I don't remember exactly the phrases that she used, but it was, something like, no, now I'm blanking. I should have written this down. But talking about like she knows what she wants for herself, and it's whether or not this person is going to be that for her future. It was a very consistent sense of her future and her vision. Now, of course, at times with the open heart center, we can waver on that self-worth and deservingness for that vision and that sense of direction. But overall, she consistently knew what she saw for herself for her future. All right, what else do I want to point out here? Okay, so this is one of my favorite gates, again, because I have this in my Jupiter placement, which she also, that's fun. She also has it in her Jupiter placement. Jupiter is all about laws and protection. You don't need to worry too much about that, but just a little side note. And this gate, which is an energetic trait of hers, is like known as the gate of progress or the gate of change. It's someone who deeply desires to see progress and change in life. Sometimes like really highly charged, and an impatience with getting movement in life, getting on with it and diving into things. And you do see through the season, she would get frustrated by not seeing progress in the relationship. And that frustration, again, is a key aspect of being a manifesting generator. The word frustration, or the feeling, I should say, of frustration, lets generator types know when they're out of alignment. Something's out of alignment here, right? That's her immediate response is frustration. And you could like feel it. I mean, I was frustrated for her watching this entire season, but that 35th gate really, really desires that change and progression. And if there's not progression fast enough, frustration, right? So you see that evolve in her relationship with her partner. She also has the 45th gate, which is the gate of the gatherer, but honestly, it's very much a leadership energy, a natural guide, natural authority. She has so much in her chart that's leadership. She's just like a natural born leader, standing up for the tribe, whatever the collective needs, being that authority, having a strong voice. It's in the throat center, so it's about that voice, right? And I think even though I'm highly sensitive to energy, I know I can feel what a lot of other people can't, but I would think that anyone who's watched this show and has gotten to know her through the show would also feel that leadership energy from her. And she has the 16, which is another big energy of enthusiasm. It can be called the gate of enthusiasm. It can also be called the gate of skills. This is someone who literally speaks with so much enthusiasm. This is someone who wants to, or who does actually see potential in other people, notices potential in other people, and then is very enthusiastic about it, notices potential to make things happen, and people notice your enthusiasm about it. And it's in her design sun. It's in her sun sign on the design side, which means it's her largest imprint of energy in the design or in her body, not the personality. The personality is on the right, which we'll touch on in a little bit. So the sun, much like in astrology, you have the largest imprint being your sun sign. Like I'm a Taurus, she's a Virgo. And in her body, her largest imprint is this gate of enthusiasm. So speaking with enthusiasm, right? And people noticing that about you. There's also a lot that goes into the 16 with repetition of skill. But for the purposes of what we're talking about here, I want to point out that her partner, going back to him dimming her enthusiasm about things she wanted to do in life, this was huge for her because it was literally dimming her sun energy. The light that was coming from her sun literally dimmed that energy. So I'm sure she felt that all over her body, literally from her throat to her sacral. She could feel that the things that she was excited about were getting dulled down because the person that she was with wasn't reflecting that enthusiasm back to her or even accepting it, even just embracing it for her. She wasn't receiving that, which can be, I have the 16 as well, and it's killer. Like I said earlier, it's killer, especially to the generator type. I think the last thing I want to mention on the throat center is she also has this channel of awakening. This is the one we touched on where the throat goes to the G center. And this is another leadership channel. This is that strong sense of identity, love of life, embracing the potential for awakening the love of life in other people. And it's known for having the voice of I'm being true to myself. I think she actually said that in the recording of the show multiple times. I'm being true to what I need for my future and being true to myself. That's what that energy is. Okay. I don't think there's anything else I need to say about the G center. Sacral. Yes, definitely talking about this. We touched on the sacral already, but she has the 59th gate. I have this, and I've talked about it a lot recently because it has to do with sexuality, intimacy, and creating union and bond between one another. It doesn't have to mean sexually. It can literally just mean breaking the barrier between your energy and someone else's energy. It's literally getting inside the aura of another and deeply connecting to them. So she naturally has this energy like I do. I've talked about this. If you're on my email list, you've seen me talk about this because we're in the 59th gate in Mercury right now. Oh, and Sun gate. Wait, what's the date today? We might not be in it anymore. I'll have to check. But this is literally the forming bonds when people are typically more reserved or closed off. It's this desire to form a connection with another. And I could feel that with her from trying to connect with her partner like the whole season. And it was like he wasn't fully open and receptive to letting her in and or giving that energy back. And so she probably never found fulfillment in having a deeper connection there. It probably felt too superficial. Superficiality is a big shadow word for this. And guess what? It's her sun sign. It is her sun energy. It is on her personality, sun being her biggest imprint. Literally, it's about her purpose here in life, is having the ability to break down barriers and achieve union. And from just watching from the outside looking in, it didn't feel like she could ever get that far with her partner. I don't know if she feels that or not, but I could feel like he was still just so disconnected and not open, not receptive. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if she was like, this is just this, there's no depth here. There's not enoughness, I guess, for me to feel fulfilled in this energy of creating any sort of union. It's a big energy of hers. If you're around her day to day, I would not be surprised if you're like, she's one of the few people um, who really strives to get to know me at such a deep level, or who I feel really safe with, or who really gets me. That's very much this energy. So it was very interesting to see that that was in her sun, part of her biggest imprint. She has the spleen defined as well, which is intuition, health, safety, survival. Again, she has a depth gate. She has a lot about her that's depth and leadership. This is leadership, not leadership. What am I trying to say? Awareness. There we go. Awareness of depth and sharing with other people in a leadership way. Long story short, kind of energy. And then moving down to her root, she has the 58. The 58 jumps out at me a lot lately. This is one of, I have this, that's probably why these jump out at me so much, because I've done so much of my own study on them because I have them. But the 58 is an energy of, literally, it's called the gate of joyous vitality. This is someone who is just filled with pure vitality. And the more that they share it, the more that it comes to them. And it's like, it's contagious. It's a contagious energy, a celebrator of life. And I felt like no matter what she was going through, no matter what happened, she just had this naturally optimistic, pure vitality about her. And I felt it was very glass half full energy, which segues me into the next gate that I wanted to, that I noticed and I want to share with you. Underneath her sun is her earth. Everyone has the earth under the sun, and this is your grounding force. So if your sun is here as like your light to shine brightly in, your earth is here in a way that grounds you. This is the energy that will keep you grounded. And hers is literally the gate of spirit, also known as the gate of abundance. And this is an awareness of glass half full. It was another conversation topic that you literally see in the show. She was a very glass half full person, and her partner was definitely a glass half empty person. And this awareness of spirit, this awareness of her own spirit is what grounds her. And you could see that being reflected in their relationship and the way that she would communicate with him. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there were more conversations in the background where she was trying to get him to see more glass half full sides of things instead of the glass half empty mindset that he, for the most part, seemed like he was stuck in. So that spirit awareness is just such a big, big force for her. And I felt you could see that in the show. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that deeply, deeply resonates with her. And I would say the last thing that I feel connected to just from seeing her on the show, so of importance for this chart reading, would be her 64th gate, which is in her undefined head center. So it's an open center, but she does have an energy here, a consistent-ish energy here. And this is an energy that requires a lot of mental stimulation. She likes to, I would guess, seek understanding in life through like wondering about all the possibilities. Like they always talk about this energy of light, like looking into the sky and taking a star and dissecting it, like really looking at it to see its profound meaning. That is the 64th gate. It's also known for direct downloads from source, God, source, universe, whatever it is you choose to believe in. And it's just one that needs a lot of stimulation, loves to ponder possibilities in life, loves to ask all the questions and the what ifs, right? So again, all from watching a show, not living it myself, I felt that her partner wasn't mentally stimulated enough. And so I wouldn't be surprised if she seeks someone. I actually am very similar in this way. Very, very similar. I think it's definitely an open head thing too. Seeking a lot of inspiration, seeking a lot of conversation that's deep and about the mysteries of life, the mystical experiences, like witchy things even. All in maybe crystals and stones and all that's been interesting lately to her. But she needs someone who has that kind of insightful depth and asking questions, and just playing around with stimulation mentally is going to be really, really important for her, which I see that. I feel that too. All right. I think that was everything that I wanted to point out that I noticed from her from watching just the show. If you also saw that season, and if any of this makes you like, oh my God, this makes so much sense, I also saw that in her, whatever, I'd love to hear. Share all of that with me. This is so much fun to do. I'm going to send it to Krysten as a birthday gift for her, a little mini chart reading. I hope that you have enjoyed this and have taken some of your own information from your own chart and been able to take some awesome notes on it. I love you so much. I will see you next time. Bye.